Hello everybody, in this lesson, we're going to be taking a look at data visualization and then creating a presentation. This is kind of like a little mini project and kind of shows you how to put all your visualizations into one output, which can be really helpful. Now what we're going to do is work with a new data set here. We're going to be using this parks and rec budget.csv. This is a new data set for this series, so go ahead and get that down below in the GitHub, and we're going to get going. The only thing that you need to do besides things that we've done in previous lessons is we're going to be using a different library. It's called ggplot2. This is a data visualization library specifically designed to make it easier to visualize your data. Let's go ahead and run this, and let's take a look at this data frame. So in this data frame, we have year, we have the department, and then we have budget in thousands. And if you go down, you can see we have a lot of different departments: sanitation, public works, city management, education, transportation. There's a lot of different departments. Now, what we're going to be working on is we're going to be taking a look at bar charts, and we're also going to take a look at line charts, some categorization with a bar chart, as well as some time series visualizations with a line chart. Once we get those, we are going to be putting this into an R Markdown file, and we're going to kind of make it look pretty. We're going to make it look nice, and then this will be something you can hand off to somebody. So let's get started, and let's take a look at how we can get our very first bar chart. So we have our data frame here, and I'm just going to start by saying we do need to do a little bit of work to get it properly formatted for something like a bar chart. Bar charts are great when working aggregated data, and we can easily aggregate this data because we have something like a department to then aggregate on something with the budget in thousands. We could also aggregate on the year and look at the total budget for the year, but I'm more interested to see how much money have we budgeted for in total for every single department. So we can just use a sum here. If you want to change it up and you want to look at maybe the median, or you want to look at the max, or whatever it is, you can do that. But we're going to do the sum of this Parks and Rec department to see how much money they budgeted for over all these years. So let's take our data frame. We're going to use our pipe operator, and we're going to use some of the things that we've used throughout this entire series. If you haven't gone through the series, this is what we've covered so far. And then grouping and aggregating is one of them. So we're going to group on the department, and then we'll add another pipe here. We're going to summarize this, and we want to do this on the budget. So we're going to do the sum of the budget in thousands. Now we can name this as well. It isn't super important, but we'll call this a total budget, and we'll say that's equal to the sum of budget in thousands. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is where we actually start creating our visualization. And so this is where it starts to get different than what we've just looked at with grouping and aggregating. Now we're going to actually build out the visualization. Now, for the very basics, especially with using ggplot2, is we need to just be able to kind of get something over here under our plots. So we kind of want to create our very first layer. And that's how plots typically work, is you're layering one thing on top of another, and then you're also adding in different colors or different variations of things that you want to change. Typically, when you're doing a plot, you're going to start off with ggplot. This ggplot is going to give us that first layer of what data are we actually working with. And the ones that we're working with are the department and our total budget. So we're going to come down here. We're going to say AES. Now, AES is something that you use to specify the variables that are going to be mapped into the data. And you can look through it right here and read into that. But we're going to specify AES for our aesthetics. And then we're going to pass through our X and our Y. So we're going to say X is equal to department, and I need to spell this right. And then we'll do a comma, and we'll say the Y is equal to, and let me make it look a little bit better, total underscore budget. And we can keep it like that for now, but just knowing what's to come, we will come back and we'll edit this a little bit. But when we start getting to visualizations, we're no longer going to use these pipe operators. We're now just going to say plus. And that says, okay, we're adding to the next layer of our visualization. We can actually look at just this. Let's go ahead and run this. And we have down here our X and our Y, but we don't have the layer on top of it. What are we actually putting in this visualization? You'll also notice this looks horrible at the bottom. It's text over text, and it just does not look good. We'll fix that later on, trust me. But let's keep going. We want to add a bar chart here. So what we want to do is we're going to do GEOM underscore bar, and you can see it right down here. So within ggplot, they have all these geometry visualizations. That's what that geom stands for, the geom underscore bar. And so we want to specify this as a bar chart, and we can leave it just like this. Let's go ahead and run this. Now we're going to get an error here because we need to set up a specific parameter called stat or stat count. Now, just knowing these, if we come in here, we have just the classic stat, and then you can also do different options like stat count. I'm just going to use stat, and we're going to say it's equal to identity. We're going to do it like this, identity. And so this is just something that we have to pass through in order for it to actually kind of understand what we're working with here. So now we're actually getting a visualization, and this looks really good, but we're going to have to clean this up quite a bit, make several changes to it. One thing we can just add really quickly is we're going to add a title. So we're going to do GG title, and we just have to pass through a string. So we'll call this total budget by department. Just keep it super duper simple here. And so now we have a nice little title here. But the first thing that I want to fix is we want some colors in here. So we're going to come back to our aesthetics, and we're going to do a comma, and we're going to say fill is equal to, and we're going to do department. So now it's going to give us a legend, and each one of these colors will be a different department. Let's run this. And so you don't have to do this. In fact, we could just make it a specific color. We could just say red, and we could do it like that. We'll make them all red, or it's kind of like a salmon almost, but a different color. We can just make it a specific color, and that'd be perfectly fine. But let's just go back. I like this kind of like a rainbow color here. It's nice. But at the very bottom, we're still having an issue with how this looks. Now, typically, if I'm working with kind of a simpler visualization, I would do a theme. And again, we're just adding a layer here. I would do this like minimal theme, and it would kind of get rid of some of these colors in the back, do a little bit of spacing, and it looks nice. It's a minimal theme. But for this theme, we actually need to specify this right here, which is an element. So we need to come back here. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm just going to have a base theme, and we need to do axis.text, and we need this for the x-axis. So along this x-axis, we need to work with this text. And so we're going to say is equal to, and now we need to pass through element underscore text. And all we're going to do is adjust the angle. And we're just going to come in here. We're going to say the angle, not angel, the angle is equal to 45. So now it's going to be at a 45-degree angle. Let's go ahead and run this and just see how it looks. And this looks 100 times better, but I think we need to adjust a little bit as well. So we'll do the height adjustment, and we'll say it's equal to 1. Let's try this. And there we go. So this looks 100 times better. The only thing that I would change is I would want to order this from highest down to lowest. So I could visually just see in order from highest to lowest which department is which. Now we can do that. It's going to be right up here in our summarize. Now we can do that. It's going to be right here in this X because we have our department right here. We can actually use something called a reorder. And we pass through the department first, but then we do a comma here, and we say minus the total budget. That minus just means go from high to low. That's all that minus means. If we did it the other way, it'd be from low to high. Let's go ahead and run this. So now we see that public works takes about 100, I think that's $1 million. Then we have recreation, park, sanitation. So then it's visually, you can see it going down. Again, we don't have to use this, but I just like the colors and I wanted to. So let's keep going because I think we got a good gist of how we can create this visualization, and we will add this to our output in a little bit. I might want to just show you what this R Markdown looks like. We're going to call this presentation underscore final. Let's open this up real quick. It creates this output for an HTML document, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to use a different one called Flex Dashboard. You don't have to use that, but that's the one I'm going to use in this lesson. But we'll be passing through this right here. And so Hold on to this. Don't change that because we will need it. Now let's go down to our line chart. Now line charts are a little bit different because in this, we're just looking at as in total. We're not looking at it over time. But now we're about to use this column right here. And now we have a specific year that we're going to look at over time for all of our data. I think we should do two separate visualizations, one where it's all the departments together, and then one broken out by departments, because those are two very different visualizations. And so what we're going to do is we can actually copy, I don't know, quite a bit of this. Let's just copy this whole thing down, because now we're just grouping on the year, but we still want that sum of total budget. And then down here in the X, we're not looking at the department anymore. Now we're looking at the year. So then our Y is our total budget, which because we're grouping on the year, we might want to call this our annual, because this is our total budget. So now we should change this to annual budget. And we can still use the same fill, at least for this visualization, it shouldn't matter at all. But we will use it in the next one. We break it out by the department. The only thing that's really going to change is we have to go to Geom, and I'm going to say line here. So this is going to create a line visualization, and let's just run it just like this. And apparently this actually does matter. Let's get rid of this really quick, and let's try running this one more time. And in essence, this is our visualization. It's very simple. Let's actually add in that minimal theme. So I'm going to do theme underscore minimal. This is just the one that I think makes it look nicer. We can also add in little dots on the year so we can kind of see what this is supposed to look like. So I'm going to do geom point. And this is just going to add dots on where the data goes. And you can see, so this is 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's just easier to see. And I think just for a quick line chart for the budget or the annual budget over the years, this is pretty good. But we could also add in a title here. So I'm going to say GG title. And I'm going to say annual budget for all departments. And we'll do it just like this. And that looks great. Now, what if we want to break this out by the different departments? This is where it gets a little trickier, not much. Let's copy this down. And we want to break this. I'm going to say break out by departments. That's just for the people who are looking at the code. So now we're not really needing to group by this because it kind of already has this for us. Whoops. It kind of already has this for us. I just messed up all the data, but it has the year, the department, and the budget. So we really shouldn't need to group this data. Let's pull this back. But in our GG plot, we do need the year. We do need the budget in thousands. So we're going to do budget in thousands. And then we're going to need our color or our fill. So I'll do color is equal to, I'm going to say department. So let's go ahead and just try this. And there we go. Now this is kind of all over the place. Maybe we want to get rid of these points real quick, just see what this looks like. Maybe this looks a little bit better. But we have this department as our legend. And so now you can see, you can just kind of follow one of these colors, whatever one you want to follow, and you'll be able to see that budget changing over the years. This is not the annual budget for all departments. This is the annual budget per department. There we go. And we'll run it just like this. So this looks good. And we have, you can even go back and look at, previous ones you've done. And so, we're holding a lot in memory, just storing these, but these look really good to me. I think we are good to go. So what we need to do now is we want to group all of this. Now what we want to do is we're going to change this a little bit, and we're going to put all of our visualizations and essentially all of our data in here. Now I'm going to change this to a flex dashboard. And I just find these easier to work with. So we're going to do flex underscore dashboard here. Now I'm going to save this. And when I save this on knit, which means we're going to actually process the data and we're going to create it, we're now knitting to a dashboard instead of before we were doing to an HTML document. Now, if you don't have this installed, which I completely deleted my RStudio and R in order to do this, I need to install this again. So let's go ahead and do that. But while it's working on that, let's start moving over all of our stuff. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to get this right here. And what we need to do is put it in a little code block. And we're going to use little tick marks to specify where we're going to have our code. Now, I need to use what I like to call squiggly brackets. I need to specify that this is R code because you don't have to use this just with R. You can use this with other programming languages. So we want to specify this is R code. So all we're doing is just getting in our data set. If we had other things where we were cleaning it up or transforming it or whatever it was, it'd be in this code block. Now, we want to put in our first one. This is our bar chart. And we're going to come down here. And we're going to do 3 with the R, of course. Oops. Let me fix that. We're going to post our code and then do 3 as well. And so now you'll notice it kind of has it highlighted. This is where our R code is. Now, if we try to just run this, let's save this and let's knit it. So I just clicked the knit. It's going to start processing this as well as our visualization, and it's going to give us an output. Now, it just gives us our presentation underscore final and our one visualization, but we haven't really added a lot to this. Let's add our other stuff as well. So now we're going to come down here and we can just copy this. Let's not get crazy. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to do another one down here, 1, 2, 3. So let's go back and get our 2 other visualizations. We have this one, and I'll paste it right in here. And then we have this one, and I'll paste that one in the bottom one. And let's go ahead and save this, as well as knit to Flex Dashboard, which is what we just did before. And taking a look at this, it looks like something went wrong because none of this is working properly. If we scroll up and down, this just doesn't look right. Let's go ahead and exit out of this. Let's go back up. And let's give these titles really quick. We're going to do 1, 2, 3. And I'm just going to give it the same title as we have up here. We don't need these quotes right here. I'm going to go down here. Let's give it 3. Annual budget for all departments. And then lastly, down here as well. And this is annual budget per department. Let's go ahead and run this. And let's see what our output looks like this time. It looks quite a bit different. We have this right here, this side data that does not look correct. We need to go back and we need to get rid of this. Let's go back to our visualization. Let's just run this and we'll run it just like that. You'll see in our output, we're getting all these things, and this is being put into our visualization or our output as well. We don't want this. Now, if I'm looking at this really quickly, I think we just didn't add in a space here. And so it's like printing out these themes as we go. So let me add in this space right here. And then we'll add it in here as well. Now let's try saving this and let's knit it. And this looks good, although it's really small. In order to make it larger, let's try something right here. Let's do a colon. We're going to say vertical underscore layout. I'll do a colon and say scroll, just like this. Let's save this. And this should allow us to have them stacked on top of each other. And let's see, knit to flex. Let's just make sure it's working. I think this may need to be lowercase, which is why it's not working. Let's try this again. There we go. But this vertical scroll stacks them on top of each other and allows you to scroll down. And there we go. And this looks 100 times better than how we had it before, because now it has a scroll wheel, allows these things to expand. Now we can also publish this. We can say publish document. In order to do that, you have to have these connected, and RS Connect is something that Posit created in order to publish these. We're just going to say yes. I had this before, but I deleted everything, so now I'm starting over with you guys. But let's go ahead and publish this. It looks like it's still working on that. Let's give it just a sec. It took about 1 minute, says it is installed. Let's bring this back. Now we can publish it to our pubs, which is a free service. You can also do Posit Connect and Posit Cloud, which are paid services, or at least in some way or shape or form, you'll have to pay for it. We're just going to use our pubs, and we're going to go ahead and click publish. Now, all you have to do is create an account, share it, and you'll get a shareable link that you can then put on your resume, put on LinkedIn, put anywhere you want in order to actually share your project. So I hope that this was helpful. If you haven't already, I have a full R course that goes a lot more in depth into the data visualization and presentation side of things. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, I will leave a link in the description below. I'll also have a coupon code if you want that as well. But I really appreciate you watching, and I hope that this whole series was really helpful. If you did like it, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next lesson.